coming up on Wrestling Life.
The ultimate drug for me is that responsibility. This multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar, whatever you want to call it, this massive company is saying, you're the guy. We're tying our rope to you, and we're depending on you to deliver. And I've done that, a lot. That to me is the drug. Is I want that. I want that responsibility. I want to be leaned on. I want to be consulted, and I want to be the person, pulling the trigger when it comes down to it, because that's the ultimate drug for me.
This is Wrestling Life with Ben Veal, the show that celebrates wrestling's past, present, and future with real talk from real talent.
Welcome to Wrestling Life, and Eric Young. I'm so pleased that you can join me on the show today. This is one I've wanted to do for a long time. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing very good, man. I'm having a blast.
I'm loving your setup. It's like you're in a barn.
Yeah, it's I do a lot of podcasting here for hockey shows and American football, fantasy football, stuff like that. So it's a little off-centered right now, and I have lights and stuff, but they were down because I had guests, I had family over. So behind this is just a regular bedroom, but the modern technology, man, can make it look like a really cool studio when it's all set up properly.
No, it looks awesome. It looks awesome. So look, very few names in the world of pro wrestling are as synonymous with TNA as you are. And I'm going to recount your accomplishments, but it's been 21 years since you debuted as part of Team Canada. And since then, there's pretty much nothing that you haven't achieved. You've got 2 world titles, 1 X Division reign, 7 tag titles, 3 Legends titles. And of course, you're the only male competitor to ever win the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship with ODB. I don't think I've missed anything. You have fitted a lot into your time in TNA.
Yeah, part of that is, you stick around long enough. The old saying is the blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. But man, it's been the honor of my life. This is my professional home. This is my home as far as pro wrestling goes. And I've done other things and very proud of those things too. But when I retire and look back, the majority of my thoughts and stuff will be with this company. And the most rewarding thing is right now, it feels like people are starting to see it how I've seen it for most of my life and most of my career. And there's something really cool about that energy. And I was doing an interview a little bit earlier just saying it feels like a bit of a revolution. And as an old punk rock fan, it's cool to be part of that.
Yeah, it's reminiscent to me of that kind of era. It was kind of 2 big eras for TNA, kind of the early times of the X Division and the rise of so many stars, including yourself back then. And then that kind of resurgence again in kind of 2011, 2012. I was there at Wembley Arena, kind of stacked Wembley Arena in London for a sellout crowd there. And it's been amazing to see over the last kind of year, 18 months, how much TNA has grown. And feels like a really exciting place to be. Got this kind of incredible roster of talent, the partnership with WWE, and then global visibility via the TNA Plus for international fans. Must be pretty cool for you to see how much it's grown from those early days to where it is now.
Yeah, it is. I would liken it to a spouse or a life partner landing that big job or, doing well. And this has been, I've been married to this company, like you said, for several of my years as a professional wrestler. And the growth of it in the last calendar year has been insane. And there's lots of reasons for that. It's, the writing and push from the marketing and PR people, getting in the right buildings, getting in front of the right audiences, the explosion of Joe Hendry, the Hardys coming back, Nick Nemeth, could work wherever he wants. Wherever he wants. And I'm not putting myself in Nick Nemeth's league, but I'm the same. If I wanted to work somewhere else right now, I could. Can
I put you in his league? I'll do it.
Well, you can, but I'm not going to do that. He's unbelievable. We're both, as far as athletes go, longer in the tooth, the two of us. I think we're the exact same age. And, he's just incredible and unbelievable professional, and how he carries himself and how he carries the flag for TNA. And he was a friend before this, but I can tell you I've got a new level of respect for him and for the Hardys. The Hardys will be at the building until 2:30 a.m. signing autographs after the show. And that's not made up. That's not hyperbole. That's not smoke. That's a real time. And I'll be still awake at the hotel waiting. And it's kind of like an unwritten rule from me and some of the older guys that we won't go to bed until the Hardys are back. And sometimes it's very, very late. And, all respect to those guys. They're superstars on a level that's hard to quantify. And there's lots of reasons why it's doing really good. And, just for me to be a small part of that is the honor of my life.
Well, what about the role you're playing? Because obviously you are one of the, I guess, the elder statesmen there really at TNA now of all your experience. There's a lot of young guys there. I'm guessing people are coming to you for advice and guidance.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a person that gives it unless it's asked, unless there's something that I really believe should change, or there's something I see that's really good and I think they should do more of it or something like that. But it kind of is the circle of life in pro wrestling. When I started, I had tons of guys helping me. And, when you first start on TV, the truth is nobody knows how to do it when they first start because you've never done it before. And you can say that, being a good wrestler is one thing, but learning how to work on television and how to work for the cameras and take all that stuff in is a learning process. And, and I had guys like Kevin Nash and Sean Waltman and DDP and Scott Hall and, these guys, Kurt Angle, Sting, Bubba Ray, and Devon, the list goes on and on. The Hardys, guys that help me learn and hone my craft. And I hope to do that with guys that are coming in and young guys. And pro wrestling is a really interesting sport or athletic endeavor where the age difference from, the top of the age to the bottom of the age can be very, very, very different. I've said it out loud, like some of these people, Leon Slater could be my son and it wouldn't even be weird. I think we were sitting in the dressing room the other day and he said something, and I don't know if it made me depressed, but it made me really think. Is I was already wrestling on TNA Wrestling pay-per-views, and I think we had started on Fox Sports by that time before he was alive.
Oh, man.
And that's wild to think of, but it's true. And that's a cool thing about it too, is I certainly don't feel old. I don't act old. I pride myself on somebody where I don't think fans have really said like, oh, he's old, or, get rid of him. I can still keep up with anyone. And the minute that I can't, I'll stop doing it because I love it and I respect it too much. But it's there's such a cool mix going on right now. And it's like I said, it feels like a revolution, and being part of it it really is one of the coolest times in my entire career.
Title Run Toys Series 1. Dangerous Danny Davis. Wrath. Juventud Guerrera. Ernest the Cat Miller. And Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Coming to the ring soon.
I mean, you mentioned Kevin Nash and Scott Hall there. I mean, one of your 7 tag title reigns was under Freebird rules when it was you, Kevin, and Scott together. What was it like partnering with the outsiders at that stage of their career?
Yeah, I mean, at that stage, obviously, they were on the tail end of their career, and I was just kind of really getting going at that point. It was kind of like my first big break. It was right around that time where I was starting to get noticed, and a lot of that had to do with Kevin. And me and him were very close, and, being in, they called it the band. And I joke around about it now. Pictures will pop up and fans will post pictures. And I'm like, yeah, I was in the NWO for 6 weeks. And not a lot of people can say that. I was doing this before the Young Bucks were alive, I think. So it's a wild thing to be part of. And 3 guys that, and it's not hyperbole. These are 3 guys that I idolized growing up. Kevin, Scott, and Sean Waltman, and 3 of the best to ever do it, all in completely different ways, but just PhDs in pro wrestling and storytelling and what to do and how to do it. And man, I learned so much in that time with Kevin, and then with the time with Scott and Sean as well. Really, I believe that is really what helped me become the performer that I am today.
I'm going to shift gears slightly to WWE for a minute, because you and I are in a very strange club together, EY, because on April 2020, you lost your job with WWE as part of a pandemic cutbacks. On the very same day here in the UK, I lost my job for the very same reason. And I have spoken with Kurt Angle, Matt Cardona, and Mike Chioda, who were all part of those big cutbacks on the same day as you. Just kind of really fascinating, because I know what it did for me at that time and how my life is now, and kind of looking back as we're in this kind of normal world now, it's really interesting to reflect back on that. How was, if you can take me back to that day when you got the news, how was that for you at the time?
Yeah, I mean, to say I was excited about it would be a lie. Like, it's the truth is it was very disappointing. I'd spent over half of my natural life on this planet striving to get to that position. Everything I had done since I was 16 basically was curated and designed to allow me to work there. Every single thing I did, the jobs I took, the people I talked to, the shows I wrestled on, the things that I did that I thought that they would like, and everything was designed around working there. And then I had made it, certainly didn't go as planned. And I mean, it's no secret, I've said this in other places. In the end, there was just one person that didn't understand me. Unfortunately, it was the only person that mattered. And I still have dear friends that work there. I'm still very friendly with Triple H, and we talk on occasion, and still friends with Road Dogg and obviously, AJ and the list goes on and on of people that I talk to on a pretty regular basis. But yeah, the COVID thing, I was one of, I think there was like 200 of us. It was an insane thing. And it was a business strategy. It's a corporation, and they were hemorrhaging money and not being able to sell tickets and not selling merchandise as normal, and, not having the gates at arenas and big arenas and things like that. Like, the truth is, the honest truth is they could have just continued to pay all of us, and it wouldn't have changed anything financially for them. But, corporations don't become billion-dollar corporations because they're silly with money. Yeah. And I think if you would reversed it, and I was in charge of the WWE and looked at what they were paying me, and I was sitting here at my house, I hadn't left my house in almost 6 months, I would have fired me too. And that's the way I looked at it. And I was a victim of circumstance that had nothing to do with anything that I had said or anything that I had done or with my ability. Luckily for me, I was already established and sure of who I was and what I was able to do before I went there. And I never lost that. And there was times where I had to really remind myself of that there, because it can be a very difficult place to work. But I still loved my time there. Even the time on the main roster that didn't go well, I became friends with, close friends with the New Day and with the Usos, and became friendly with Randy Orton, and got to talk with, Bryan Danielson on a daily basis. And I wouldn't change any of it, to be honest. I'm a big believer in fate, and I got it tattooed on the underneath of my right arm. And it happened for a reason, and I ended up right back at TNA, and I'm part of this resurgence, and everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be there. If I wanted to be there, I'd be there. I'm just not interested in it. I'm interested in what I'm doing right now, and I'm a person that changes his mind all the time. I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I mean, it's I lost 2 jobs. I was, writing hockey articles and doing a fantasy hockey podcast for The Athletic, which is something that I had strived for. And if my mom was alive to see it, I was a published writer, and I would have made her so proud. And yeah, it was a weird time for everyone. And I wouldn't want anyone to go through it, anything like that, losing employment and losing your dream job. Could have been crippling, I guess, for you and for me and for a lot of people, but I wasn't going to allow that to define me. And I literally haven't looked back at it for a second. And it's disappointing. People are like, "Are you mad? Are you bitter?" No, it's just disappointing, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I offer, And I was very clear with that person. I'm not allowed to say his name. I get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Like if in a perfect world, COVID never happened, and all those people didn't get sick and people didn't die, and all the madness that came along with that was it was soul sucking, energy consuming, and I'm glad that we're past it. But the truth is I ended up exactly where I was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, it lit a fire under me, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if that hadn't happened. But
Yep.
I mean, I imagine it was pretty vindicating for you that just a few months later, after what you'd gone through, and as you say, not having a certain someone believe in your abilities, that you become TNA champion for a second time just a few months later in August. Even though obviously the world's weird, it's all kind of not really in front of fans, it's all a bit odd, but you're still champion once again, and the company's recognizing you as the top dog once again.
Yeah, and I've never worried about holding championships or I think anyone that says that they don't want to be champion or world champion is either one of two things. They're either a liar or they're in this for the wrong reasons. And I never thought about being rich or being famous or being on TV. None of that had anything to do with me wanting to be in pro wrestling. It's what I loved. It consumed my life. And I don't know if I could have lived without being in it and around it. That's how I looked at it. It had nothing to do with those other things. Those other things, came along with it. And now it's my business. It's how I pay my bills. It's what supports me in my wife's life, and which is amazing, by the way. And it's crazy that it's paid for by pro wrestling. But it's all I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. And it's as corny as it sounds, I've been living my dream, partially since 1997 is when I started training. But 2004, I signed my first contract on Bobby Roode's back in the dark at the fairgrounds here in Tennessee. And I've been employed ever since. I mean, when I chose to leave the second time, there was 90 days where I didn't make any money, and that is not ideal, but that was the choice I made, and I'm proud of it, and I would never change it. But it's wild that this is my life, and I literally feel, and this is cliche, but I feel like I haven't worked in over 20 years.
I'm Mark Merrill, former WWE Intercontinental Wrestling Champion and 3-time WCW World Television Champion. I am thrilled to announce the release of my new book, Bad to Good. The inspiring story of a wrestling wild man chronicles the highs and lows of my life, both in and out of the wrestling ring. It's a powerful narrative of overcoming adversity and the importance of perseverance, no matter how tough the journey gets. Co-authored with my good friend and award-winning journalist, Ben Veal, this is a story I've long wanted to share, and I truly hope it inspires you. I hold nothing back in this book, revealing the untold truths of my extraordinary life, from my modest beginnings and my first boxing match to the struggles with addiction that almost consumed me and my evolution into the charismatic Johnny B. Bad. This book offers an insider's perspective on the world of professional wrestling and my journey as a sports entertainer. You'll read about my pivotal negotiations with Vince McMahon that led to the first ever guaranteed contract in the WWF and how that decision marked me within the locker room. I discuss the impact of my relationship with my then wife, Rena, known to fans as Sable, on my career. I also confront the darkest moments of my life, how I hit rock bottom and how that experience sparked my rebirth, leading me to become America's leading motivational school speaker, inspiring young people and transforming lives. Featuring forwards by my good friends Diamond Dallas Page and Lex Luger, along with contributions from Mick Foley, Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo, and others who shared this wild journey with me. Bad to Good is a story you don't want to miss. Head to Amazon.com or WrestlingLife.online now to pick up your copy.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, talking about high points from your career, and it has been an incredible career, Eric. I mean, one of those must have been when you defeated good friend of mine, good friend of this show, Nick Aldis, obviously then
good friend of mine as well.
To become world champ for the first time. Take me back to that night in 2014 and what it felt like to I know what you're saying about titles, but that is a big deal, isn't it? The first time you become world champion for a company.
It's a massive honor. And the truth is the ultimate drug for me is that responsibility is the company, this multi-million dollar or billion dollar or whatever you want to call it, this massive company is saying, you're the guy. Like we're tying our rope to you, and we're depending on you to deliver. And I've done that, a lot. And that to me is the drug. Is I want that. I want that responsibility. I want to be leaned on. I want to be consulted, and I want to be the person, pulling the trigger when it comes down to it, because that's the ultimate drug for me. And it's the honor of my life, to carry that and be the flagship, and whether, it was well received or it wasn't well received. Some people loved it, some people hate it, and that's art, and it's always going to be that way. But it was the honor of my life. And it did kind of happen organically, and just the timing was right on it for whatever reason. Like I wasn't really in the middle of anything, and then just kind of found myself, on house shows and then on the TV shows, getting these really, really loud, robust babyface reactions. And it's like, it kind of gave them no choice, to be honest. And it wasn't forced by me or forced by anyone. It just kind of happened. And it's something that I'm immensely proud of. My mom was still alive at the time, and I didn't know that I was winning it really till I got down to Orlando, and she was staying at my house in Nashville. And she had always supported me and had always been proud of me. But watching her hold that belt when I brought it home is something I'll never forget, man. Never forget. And wrestling allowed me to live my dream. TNA allowed me to live my dream. And to see my mom hold that title when I got home was just, it's hard to explain, man. It's hard to put into words.
No, I get it completely. I mean, you mentioned about being a published writer and not having to see that. I mean, my first book came out a couple of months ago, and I wish more than anything my dad had been here to see it, because all he ever wanted to do was write a book, and I dedicated it. I always think that they're walking with you. I just
for sure.
They're walking right by you. They see it all, but you just want to be there to share those moments, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I think, like you said, they're sharing it anyways, and she's witnessing this all in some way or the other. But that was just the timing of it was kind of perfect, and there wasn't a plan for her to be there because I was going to bring it home. I think if I knew I was winning it before I went to Orlando, I would have flown her and my wife down to be in the audience. But it was kind of like, this is what we're doing, and kind of had found out a couple of days before that. And my life was really crazy at the time because I was shooting the Off the Hook Extreme Catches on Animal Planet. And I was in New York doing media, and I was like on the Today Show and like all this. It was an unbelievable time in my life, and almost killed me. I was so busy.
You've had a crazy life, haven't you?
I have, yeah. And as a person, like I grew up in a tiny town in southwestern Ontario, a population of like 60 people. The closest McDonald's is 40 minutes away. I come from, very not that we were poor, but like we weren't rich, and my parents aren't famous or they're not pro athletes. I'm just this short, chubby kid from the middle of nowhere, Canada, and I've done just stuff that I can't even fathom it. And it's all been given to me by pro wrestling, and the thing I love and I'm the most passionate about, and still am. Like I certainly don't consume it and watch it like I used to. But doing it and being around it and being part of it is just a drug that is not, you can't purchase it. It's just a feeling that can't be bought, and it can only be earned. And it's unbelievable, man. It's just an unbelievable thing.
Well, look, I mean, I could talk to you for hours about this, and I definitely want to have you back on, Eric, because there's so much I want to ask you about. But
yeah, I'd love to.
Before we do wrap up, we have a couple of similarities. One is I noticed we have virtually the same tattoo. Don't know if you.
Oh yeah, pretty close.
Very similar. But the
same haircut.
Same haircut, yeah, not by choice, but it is what it is.
No, not by choice by me. I had a good 35-year run, and then it gave up on me.
Exactly. But the other similarity is our shared love for vinyl, and I love what you've done with Vinyl Obsession. It's very rare I get to have someone coming on this show and talking vinyl, so I'll just ask you one question, which is, of all of the incredible and eclectic guests that you've had on that show, because it has been pretty fascinating who you've had on, what's been the most surreal moment for you, or maybe the episode that stands out for you as your favorite, if you can pick one?
Yeah, I mean, talking to Dave Mustaine, I wouldn't even consider myself like a massive metal fan. I like it. Obviously Megadeth is just, huge in that thrash metal space. And in that world, he's a god, I couldn't believe his recall on dates and times. Like, this is a guy that got kicked out of Metallica because he drank and did too many drugs. Like, I don't even know if he should be alive, but I'm glad that he is. The interview was incredible. Personally, for me, Gavin Rossdale, being a massive Bush fan my entire life, he was just so cool. Chris Shiflett from Foo Fighters, like, I've listened to him play guitar since he was in No Use for a Name, a smaller known punk band, and Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. He's been part of my musical life for 40 years. And Foo Fighters, I think, might be maybe the best American rock band ever. I don't think I'm saying anything insane by saying that. I mean, they are, to me, they're top 5 for sure, if not the greatest American rock band of all time. So that was unbelievable. The thing that surprised me the most, my favorite of all of them, and a guy that I still talk to, I think he's going to come to Unbreakable in Vegas, is Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees. Okay. I wasn't surprised that he was a nice guy, but I was just surprised at his openness and his honesty of what his career is and was, and what 98 Degrees was, and his musical background, and how knowledgeable he is about music and writing, and just his love for all different kinds of music. Just an unbelievable human being. I mean, I think I would probably say that would have been the last person that I probably would say I would become very, very good friends with. But it's the truth. Of all the people on the show that I'm still close to, he'd be number one. So yeah, I'm hoping that he comes. He lives in Vegas, and him and his son and a friend of his son came to one of our tapings at the Palms, and he had never been to live wrestling. He's like, man, every time you guys come, you gotta let me know. This was unbelievable. And I think that's the reaction to most people when they see pro wrestling live for the first time. Yeah. Whether they like it or not, it changes their perception of it completely. And knowing a lot about it, and like for me and you, like, we're wrestling fans, so watching it on TV is awesome. But people that don't fully get the nuances and are, trying to think, oh, it's fake, or it's this, I got news for you. Everything you watch on TV is fake. Every single thing. You go to a live event, you just have to hear it. For the first time you hear someone being slammed in a ring at a live event, You're like, oh, that's not fake. The sounds and the energy, like, if it's a good crowd, like, that's a drug too. Like, being in that setting and everyone's screaming and like singing songs, and just, like, they're just as big a part of it as the show as we are. And once you get them in the door, man, they may not become diehards where they're consuming 30 hours of a week like some of us psychos do. But if you can get them in the door, man, it changes everything. Yeah, well, look, you've got a lot of people through the door over your 20 plus years, Eric, and I have no doubt there's much more ahead. So, open invite, come back on, let's do this again, and let's explore some of your TNA memories when we can. I love that, man. Yeah, this is a fun chat. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Eric. That's it for another Wrestling Life. Thank you so much for my guest today. Thank you to all of you for joining me. Thank you, as always, to my brilliant producer, Jeff Easton from Tall Lake Productions, for bringing Wrestling Life to life. We've got so many of these fantastic conversations in our archive, so please do check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And the most important thing of all, please hit that follow button, please like us, please tell a friend, and please talk about us using the hashtag WrestlingLifePod. So that's it for another episode. I've been Ben Veal. This has been Wrestling Life with Ben Veal. I'll see you soon for more real talk from real talent. Bye.